I moved into the Heritage Apartments last Tuesday, Unit 3B. The rent was half what I'd been paying downtown, and the manager, a woman with nicotine-stained fingers and a laugh like grinding gears, assured me the place was quiet. "It's just you and Mr. Carver in 3A, she said, sliding the keys across the counter. "He's private, harmless." The hallway carpet somehow smelled like bleach and mildew. My new apartment was sparse. Hardwood floors, a stove with rusted burners, a kitchen table, and a mirror above the fireplace that warped reflections at the edges. The previous tenant had left a single item behind, a leather-bound journal on the kitchen table. It took me a minute to actually open the thing and read it. It felt private. I discovered its pages were filled with cramped handwriting. "Don't acknowledge the sounds after midnight," the first entry read. "His reflection doesn't move." Although intrigued, I wasn't about to read the scrawled-out mind of a deranged madman just as I moved into a new place, so I tossed it back onto the kitchen table. That night, sleeping on the floor with a couple blankets and a pillow, I heard the footsteps. They started around 11:30 p.m., a slow shuffle directly below my bedroom. The rhythm was uneven, like a limp. I checked my apartment, no one there. The noise seeped through the floorboards, muffled but persistent. By 1 a.m., it stopped. Unable to sleep now, I pulled open the journal again, although I couldn't honestly tell you why. The second entry was dated 6 months prior. "He knocks 3 times. If you knock back, he'll tell you about the fire. Don't ask about the smell." A hollow knock echoed from the living room. 3 sharp raps. I froze. My pulse thudded in my ears. Against every instinct, I crept to the door and peered through the peephole. The hallway was empty. Bam, bam, bam! The knocks nearly knocked me off my feet as the door reverberated against my face. I froze a few paces away from the door and listened. But nothing happened. I told my manager the next morning about the thuds and the knocks at my door. She blamed the pipes. "Old building's grown," she said, lighting a cigarette in the stairwell. "You're lucky it's not rats." I thought better of it to not mention the journal. That night, the thudding and shuffling footsteps continued, but this time I brought a flashlight and followed the sounds. The third floor had 4 units, 3A, 3B, mine, 3C, and 3D. 3C and 3D were sealed with yellow tape. "Renovations," the manager claimed. I stopped in front of 3A, Mr. Carver's door. No nameplate, no sound from inside. I hesitated, and then I knocked. The door swung open, seemingly of its own accord, as there was no one there. The apartment was identical to mine, but the air tasted metallic, like blood on a busted lip. A faint hum reverberated in the walls. The living room curtains were drawn, but the light seeped through the edges, a flickering amber glow. "Hello?" I called. A voice hissed from the bedroom. "You shouldn't have knocked." I bolted out of there as fast as I could. I don't even remember if I closed the door or just turned the corner. I got swiftly back through my apartment door and shut it as stealthily as I could. Putting my ear to the door, I held my breath and listened. Nothing. Silence. I breathed a little easier, but not for long. The journal rested on my bed, directly in the center of it, but I knew for a fact I had left it in the kitchen. "He'll show you the fire," the next entry warned. "When he does, you'll want to watch." I burned the book in the sink. The pages blackened, releasing a greasy smoke that clung to the ceiling. At 3:33 a.m., the knocking resumed. This time it wasn't on my door. It was from inside the walls. I pulled the covers over me, now in a proper bed, and tried to muffle the pounding, but it didn't work. For 3 nights, I couldn't sleep. The manager evaded my calls. Carver's apartment stayed silent, but the hallway reeked of charred wood and burnt hair. The maintenance man, a skeletal guy named Greg, claimed that the smell was mice getting into the wiring. He handed me a can of air freshener and left without meeting my eyes. On the 5th night, I found the photographs. Taped behind the bathroom mirror were Polaroids of a burning building. A woman's face pressed against the 3rd-floor window, mouth open in a scream. On the reverse side read, 1973, they never found the bodies. Despite my extreme exhaustion, I was still too unnerved to sleep, but that's the weird thing about sleep deprivation. Maybe I did fall asleep, because the next thing I knew, the smoke alarm blared. Smoke snaked under my door. I hunched into the hallway. Unit 3A's door hung open, flames licking the frame. Heat seared my skin. The voice from the bedroom hissed again, louder now, layered with static. "Come see what you've done." I stumbled downstairs. The lobby was empty, but the manager's door bore a new sign. Heritage Apartments, vacancy, 3B. Behind me, the stairway collapsed and I ran out of there. I'm writing this in a motel. The Heritage's website lists 3B as available. The previous tenant's journal sits beside me, unburnt. Its pages are now blank except for one new line. "Now, you'll tell them about the fire." The TV flickered to life and a local news report played. Arson is suspected in historic apartment blaze. 2 victims believed trapped inside are now believed. I stare into the diary now, not sure where to begin. I just can't seem to shake that my reflection in the TV doesn't move when I do.